Good morning, everybody.
Hi, Blue.
Hey there, Blue. Self-Reliance. Thank you so much for coming. I'm going to give it a couple minutes for the notification to go out to everyone. I hear your baby dogs.
Yeah, the little puppy.
Yes, he is so
They
cute.
were supposed to come pick them up. I got two that's for sale, and they're supposed to come get them this weekend, but they hadn't come yet.
Oh, one thing that I figured out recently. Let me fix this. There we go. One thing that I figured out recently is that there are states that have what they call a pit bull prohibition. Have you heard
Mm-hmm.
of those? Because I know there's some in
Well,
Arkansas, Missouri. They're like everywhere. Oh my word! Look at him. Is it a girl or boy?
there's a boy and a girl. It looks just. This is a boy.
There's a boy. Oh, he looks like a little feller. Oh my goodness, he's so cute. What kind of dog is that? I want to guess, but I don't know if I'm right. He reminds me of like Chiweenie
Chapoo.
maybe. He's a Chapoo. Oh, oh my gosh, he is precious. We had
Is whining more,
oh, he likes to be
wanting up here
loved.
in my lap.
Yeah. We had one named Little Man who was black. He had those same markings. He was a Chiweenie and had the same markings but black, not the chocolate. And I love the chocolate's beautiful. But he was my husband's good buddy. And when he was getting older, we were like, "Uh oh, we better get Dad another dog because he's gonna be all kinds of messed up if anything happens to that dog." And he would even say, "Hey there, farmer son." He'd say one time there was a noise outside, and this is just how my husband talks. He'd say, "Me and Little Man, we went out there and we didn't see anything." And me and the kids busted up because of the way that he said it. We're dog people. We speak dog in our family, is what we always say. We speak dog. We've had as many as 6 at one time. It didn't feel like we had 6, though. You know what I mean? We have
Yeah,
variety. There's outdoors ones, indoors ones.
that's the way here. There's some that's outdoor and some indoor.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. And they're good friends and family members, huh?
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yep. We
I like my
well,
dogs more than some people.
we were agree 100%. We when we were out and about, we were traveling a little bit ago. I never heard of a pit bull prohibition in all of my life, and you know we've we like to look at property and think about moving and stuff like that. And there was some place we were like, we can't because I don't. You've probably seen Bear in our videos, and what I haven't shared with everybody is Draco, who's another family member that my daughter and her husband have, um, and he's a bull mastiff, and he's huge, but he's like the sweetest baby ever, even though he's ginormous, but he's a bulldog. And I heard about those and I was like, what the heck? I've never heard of that. It would have been like we would have had to limit the options of places we would like to go because of the dog thing. Because we But then I heard it's mostly in the cities only, not in the country.
Yeah.
So yeah, we aren't looking to move to any cities, so that worked out all
Wild
right.
Pete, he's bulldog and he's pit and lab
Uh-huh.
mix.
We used to have a pit mix named Pete. We called him Pilferin Pete. That's what we called him because he would always get. If you were trying to do, my husband was trying to do anything outside, he'd be right there up in his hands, trying to see what he had. they're the best dogs. I think everybody forgets that pit bulls are, they were on Little Rascals. That dog on Little Rascals was a pit bull. And I
Mm-hmm.
think they forget
Petey.
that big. And I think that they've been just given a bad rap. All dogs bite if
Yeah.
they're scared or irritated or put in that position where they're just going to be a dog, like get away from my food or get away from my toy. I think you know what I mean, or quit picking on me, whatever
Mm-hmm.
happens to be the scenario. But that Draco, my grandbabies crawl all over him. I mean, they ride his back. That he lets them. And when they get in trouble, if they get put in timeout in their room, he will go and lay down with his nose at the base of their door, and he pouts because they're in trouble. He hates that. It's the sweetest thing. Hey, Shadow Scout Swede, thanks for coming in.
Hi, Shadow.
So today, everybody, as you can see, I've got Arkwildman Survival joining me. Lisa has Fiona, one of her Kune Kune pigs that is about ready to give birth to some baby piglets. So she's on piglet watch, and I'm sure she'll be keeping us all posted soon. And that's Lisa over at Yogi Hollow Farm. I hope everyone will go over there and check in on her and see some baby piglets. They're adorable. I want some. And I want some. I'm trying to figure out how we can get them. So
I
today,
seen your post on.
huh?
Sorry, go ahead. I seen
Oh
your
no,
post on Instagram a while ago.
yeah. Um, did you? Okay, don't share what she
Yeah.
shared. Here's gonna have to wait. So today we're going to be chatting about goal setting and prepping, which is something very near and dear to my heart. So I'm super excited, and I'm super excited to be talking with you, Art, because you're a professional, and I bet you one of my questions for you is, how long have you been prepping? And I have an idea of what you're going to say, but as far as like preparedness and survival skills, how long have you been doing that?
About a lifetime.
I knew
Just
it.
a way of life.
Yes, I knew it. Um, for anybody who is new to the whole concept, and I know a lot of people are going in that direction on different levels. Hey, Gma and Papa. A lot of people are going in that direction just because of everything that's happening in the world, and um, I feel like just the recognition that our society really is so fragile. Like we had up until not even 2 years ago, right? We all, had things pretty good. Gas prices were decent. We didn't have shortages at our stores, and y'all know the stuff. But uh, to me, regardless of what happens this November, regardless of what happens in 2024, um, I don't know if anybody's heard of the WEF, but go check out their website, global organization. Um, I don't think that relying on other people to feed us and other people for our survival is a safe way to go. So I know a lot of people are recognizing this and kind of moving into the prepping. Real quick, hey there, our new land. Y'all, that's two brothers that went and bought land together and are building it from the ground up. Very cool story. Everyone should go and take a peek at that. And hey there, Outdoors with Big Matt. Good to see you all. Thanks for coming in. So, Ark, my question is how long for somebody who's never, let's call it, for city people especially. So let's do this two different ways. Homesteaders who are getting more into preparedness, and then city folks. If anybody's in the city, please don't be offended. That's how I've always referred to people in the city, because there's just a difference in the way of thinking and
There he
doing
is.
things. How long do you think for your homesteaders, your country folk, um, to be prepared, like to get there, or at least get there enough, because then we're talking 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, you know. Um, and then how long do you think for somebody who's in the city?
at least 6 months worth of food, I think.
Hmm. How long do you think the skills for them to learn those skills?
Time's the essence. They need to start right away, like their wild medicals and wild edibles and
Hmm.
basic survival skills.
Yep. And I know you are a master. What I love about your herbalism skills is that you're not only a master of, what works for what, but you can go find it. Do you know what I'm saying? How long have you been studying herbalism? Is that a lifetime thing also?
Ever since I was a kid, I was always interested in what the Indians used and the pioneers and stuff.
Hmm.
And
Cool.
I spent most of my time out in the woods or the river. And
Hmm.
I'm constantly learning. So
Yes, that's how I feel too. Like herbalism is a journey. We are constantly learning. And one of my weakest points is the finding it. Because a lot of people that are learning herbalism, we buy it from, I can tell you who most of us get it from, is Mountain Rose Herbs, great company. Um, but if you got to go find it out there or you got to grow it yourself, grow what you use, I think that's super important, and to know alternatives, because you've got your like, I often have people, and you'll bet you do too, who ask you, hey, I got this going on. What should I use for it? And then you got to say, well, what do you have? Right? That's what I always ask. Well, what do you have? Because I can tell you what would be best for a cold, but what do you have? Because they might not have any of it.
I get
What do you?
pictures sent to me once, wanting to know what this is or what that is a lot.
Mhm. We need to have a chat about that sometime. I'd love for you and I to get together and kind of pick some common things and say, what our experience is with what we've used. That would be a great comparison. Just because everybody applies it differently, and that's interesting to hear. Here's Scout Swede is joining us on this. Yeah.
Yep.
For example, perfect example, Shadow Scout Swede, Cindy's place. She's a channel. Cindy lives, hey, Stuart. Cindy lives in northern Nevada. And she had told her mom, to use golden seal and echinacea together, because those two work in synchronization with each other. And it was golden seal tincture. I always prefer tinctures over supplements. But her mom told her neighbor, and the neighbor took it upon herself to take like a lot more golden seal. She poisoned herself and died. I've never. First off,
Mm.
it feels disgusting. It's like it's the most bitter, horrible taste in a tincture, even because I'll just do a tincture, drops in a little bit of water, and take it like that, and it's just absolutely awful. This woman killed herself with that, and Cindy knew her. That's a horrible story of somebody who, I guess, it just was too much, and it's a tincture. So for anybody who doesn't know what a tincture is, who's going to be listening to the replay, you put a bunch of herbs into a jar and you cover it with vodka or something, a really strong alcohol, and you let that sit, or macery, for, I like to do 8 weeks, and heck, I even have some tincture jars that still have the herbs in them, because if they sit extra long, it doesn't hurt anything as long as the alcohol's over it.
Now there's some
Super
turkey
cool.
tail I should have strained.
What do you have?
Turkey tail mushroom I should have strained about a month ago.
Yeah, I have some reishi tincture that I like to use. I haven't tried the turkey tail though. But as far as if you were to talk about the skills needed for preparedness and survival, and you had to name, hey, Klingon Princess, thanks for coming. And you had to name the top 3 to 5 skills for preparedness and survival, Art, what would you say they are?
The top what now?
Top 3 to 5 skills for preparedness or survival?
One is to learn your wild edibles and medicinals,
Mm-hmm.
and two is to learn how to build a fire multiple ways and build shelter, because shelter and you fire is, and learn how to purify water,
Mm-hmm.
and that's some of the basic skills right there: survival, food, shelter, and water,
Yep, agree. I'm Farmer's
and
son
how to
did a
preserve those.
and how to preserve.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Um, Farmer's son did a good video on cleaning, purifying water, like the way that a lot of us heard about when we were younger, with the rocks and the sand and the charcoal, and do it because everybody thinks Berkey. And hey, we have a Berkey. Like a Berkey's good to have, but you can go right outside and get everything you need to make that. And you can't just conjure up a filter for your Berkey if you've had it for a while and it needs to be replaced. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Um, do you think so? If we were to talk about, how we talk about the 7 F's of goal setting, if you were to think about like faith, family, future, fitness, fun, finances, what's another one? Of all of those 7, which one do you think, is there one that you'd like to speak to in particular in regards to prepping?
Well, faith is very important. I'd put that number one,
Hmm.
because it not only helps you mentally and physically, but putting God first in everything. He provides our needs. He knows our needs,
Hmm.
and
Amen to that.
but faith would be definitely number one, and family. Learning these skills to preserve your food and stuff for your family, and medicinals, and learning them herbs and
Hmm.
mushrooms and stuff. Teaching them stuff for when you're not going to be around. We have an expiration date, so.
Hmm. Right? We're one day closer every day. Agree on the faith thing, and I think, I mean, and this is what I believe. It's what I the Bible tells us, is that you know God he prepares places for us, and he guides us.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want to know like what we're supposed to do or where we're supposed to go, you can pray on it, you can read on it, and so I'm with you on that. Not just because our world is temporary, and our time here is temporary, and we should be thinking about the ever after, but just because he's going to help us while we're here too. I'm taking notes.
Yep.
Um, so if you were to, can I ask you that, like, you've been doing this your whole life, so you've been living a lifestyle of self-sufficiency. Oh, precious. um, and just being self-sufficient, sustainable, learning your herbs, learning all the skills to survive if you had to, right? um, would you say that there is like one skill that you would put above all others?
I guess foraging, because man's got to eat.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And with the whole what are they, eminent domain is what the government calls it. They already have something in place to take our land from us if they wanted to. I always think
Oh yeah.
about that. um, I've seen it done for freeways, and yes, faith helps morale. Farmer's son, totally agree with that. So since you've been doing this your whole life, a lot of people are trying to do, like their goal setting, and they're trying to get everything in order. And some people may write things down. They might make like a to-do list or something. Um, have you ever done anything like that? Or have you just been at it so long that you don't need to. But I'm assuming, I know you have animals, I know you have a garden, and I know you brush grass on a regular basis. Is there anything that you're hoping to do this year, or like your next top priority item? And do you keep a list, or is it just all up here because you've done it for so long?
I don't keep no list, but the next thing I want to do is I may have scored a freeze dryer, so
Awesome.
I want to get into freeze drying and more long term food storage because basically I oven can and or dry can, as a lot of people say, for my long term. But this gives me more option for more things like meat. You know, you can't dry can meat, so but I do pressure can it and dry canning and this and dehydrating, and this will give me something else for food storage.
Mhm. And with the freeze drying, there's so much that can fit in a small area, like dehydrating your food too. If you got plenty of water, that's a great call. We haven't done a lot of dehydrating up here in northern Arizona because water is such an issue. Um, and so there's that plus of having canned foods that have liquid in them already. You know, it's kind of another source. Real quick, hey there,
Mm-hmm.
Firefly Farm, LP. Thank you all for joining us. Um, so preserving venison. Yes, exactly. Because we have so where we are at in northern Arizona, you are entered into a lottery for hunting deer or elk. And we, you have to get lucky to get drawn, or you're not going to get a deer. So having to preserve it beyond freezing, we have not done. We have like a solar setup for a freezer. If we lose our electricity, that's not happened, but we're prepared if we. But now we got two freezers, so that's been a concern, and that's one thing I want to do is can some meat so that we don't have to worry about losing all the meat in the freezers. Um,
Yeah, I've got beef stew canned. I've got deer stew canned. I've got chicken canned.
mhm.
I've
Wow,
got a lot of canned food.
that's awesome. Hey, where you're at in Arkansas, how many deer are you allowed to get a year? We have to get drawn, and there have been years we haven't gotten drawn. My husband hasn't been drawn. We haven't been drawn for elk in, I'll swear it's almost a decade. I'd have to have ask him to keep me honest. I don't know how many years, but it's legit been that long. Um, it's got to be close to a decade. And deer, we did get drawn 2 years in a row, so we were happy about that. But then you can only get one antlered deer. What is it like in Arkansas?
2 bucks and 4 does.
Wow. And is that off your own land, or do you have public land there that you use?
The public land, and they do have a private antlerless only deer hunt,
Hmm.
and we have a Christmas hunt. And plus, if you see one get run over on the road, you know a lot of states they won't let you pick it up,
They
but
don't.
here in Arkansas you can't.
Wow, that is awesome. Um, there is a thing that's going through that I wanted to make everybody aware about, and I will put it in the description link down below. But on the Federal Register is like the place where I guess I'm not a pro at this stuff that the government does, but there's a place where the bills show up to let the people know that they're coming through. And right now there is a bill being pushed through to ban lead in all public forest land and in all public waters. So that means like your fishing weights. That means we're not allowed to say it on here, but starts. We'll say what Gail's Southern Living says is the Pez candy for the Pez dispensers. Those are lead, and they're trying to ban those from the public forests. Up here in Arizona, most people don't have their own land. Like we have an acre, but it's hard to get larger pieces of land. And when we hunt, there's tons of public land up here. It's like everywhere. So you think you can go hunting and you've got so many choices for hunting, but with something like that going through, that would kind of put a kibosh on that. I don't think they could do anything with the private land though, so that's good. Um, just wanted to share that news. Um, so as far as prepping goes, we talked about canning. You freeze dry. You're going to get a freeze dryer. That's awesome, by the way. Those things are crazy expensive. Um,
Yeah.
you dehydrate your food. Um, do you? So some of the herbs that you use, do you grow those on your property, or you just know where they are? Are they just out in the woods?
Yeah. All wall harvested.
Awesome. That's how I do mullein. Is like mullein and yarrow are my two favorite things that I harvest around here. We have some. I like wild lettuce, but and I like it because I love those beautiful little lemon colored flowers that open up in the morning. And I let them grow on our property when they come. They get to stay in dandelions, of course, but you have such a greater diversity of plants there. It's just awesome. Hey there, Life with Linda and Chuck. Thanks for coming. What are some of
When
your
I was my favorite plants, what
herbs?
my herbs.
Hmm.
Well, my medical herbs I like the best is probably the. There's not a whole lot of them, but I know where most of them is the toothache tree, southern prickly ash. It's wonderful for tooth infections and to numb the pain for toothache. And also the virus that was going around, they would get stuff on their tongue. That would help with that too, I was told.
Oh, really?
Because I gave my cousin some, and they had that bad rash in their mouth, and that cured
Uh-huh.
that up.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Hey, does it help for a sore throat too, you think?
I don't know. It's used for more stuff than that, but that's what I've used it for. My experience.
Uh-huh.
I know it
I'm
works
just
for toothache and tooth infection,
I'm
and
just
then
betting
the Indian
any.
pipes
Hmm.
is really wonderful for uh, pain and fatigue, mental fatigue, and physical fatigue as well.
Hmm.
And it'll help you relax and sleep better too.
Hmm.
And of course, I like the yarrow because of the blood stopping ability, and plus the flowers for like fevers and
Hmm.
colds,
Yep.
and the mullein. And my favorite mix is mullein and rabbit tobacco,
Hmm.
life everlasting for uh,
Oh.
for your coughs and allergies
Hmm.
or bronchial issues.
Hmm.
That combination is wonderful. If you smoke it, or you can have mullein tea, but strain it.
Yep.
That's some of my favorite ones.
Hmm. I love those. You gave me one um, for for a cough, and I'm trying to remember what the name of it was, but I got a tincture from you. That worked wonders. 8 drops. It worked wonders. Um, what herb was that? Do you remember? I'm trying to remember what that was.
Was it bone set for
Yes.
fevers?
Wait, no, it wasn't bone set because I have bone set. Um, but I did take bone set too. But no, it was one you had given to me. I'm trying to think of what it was. Or maybe it was the bone set because I had asked you how I should do it, but I'll swear it's something I got from you. I just can't. I'm drawing a blank. But maybe it was bone set, 8 drops. Because you had guided me on dosage on that one, so I could be confusing myself with that. Hey, Squirrels, Magnet Fishing and Outdoors, and Rita's Roost. Thanks for coming in.
That is
What?
wonderful for fevers, though. That
Hmm.
bone set.
And the cough. And the cough. I did mullein and yarrow also when I had that flu times 2. That's what I called it, because that's what it was like. It felt like you've got your cold, you've got your flu, and then you got this flu times two. That's how it felt to me. The first thing that I had to do was a ginger and lemon tea, which is real simple,
Yeah.
but I was so nauseous that I couldn't eat. I didn't even want to take the supplements that we all know to take, the vitamin D, the vitamin C, the zinc, the quercetin. Um, hey, Shift Kicker, I was too nauseous. I
Elderberry
was
is another good one.
Oh yeah, yeah, I love elderberry. I heard about elderberry, and hey, Fox Holler Homestead, good to see you, Fox family. I heard elderberry, and I heard the same thing for echinacea, that when you start, when you're at the beginning of a sickness, any sickness really, mild, from your mild cold to your flu times two, that if you take it at the very beginning, that's when it's the most helpful. But if you're once you're into it, stop echinacea or elderberry because they're not going to be helpful at that point. Have you heard that too?
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, for me, and it's almost I need to make myself. I want to make like some herb bags or herb boxes and label them. Like cold. I already have one that says flu times two because I wanted to be prepared for that. But then I didn't. I was so sick I couldn't think, and I didn't. I finally, after about 2 or 3 days of being so nauseous, I was like, geez, I need to take some. I need some ginger to help with this nausea so that I can do the things I know I need to do. And I think I made myself worse by not being able to eat those couple of days. But then I was reading this. I have where I work, I can get access to some medical journals. And there's one medical journal called the Journal of Herbal Medicine. And they had an article out about ginger. And they were saying that it increases the number, aside from we all know that it helps, right? We all know that it's just a good herb. But, then science comes in and they prove stuff. And we don't need to hear it, but it is interesting to hear that it actually increases the number of macrophages, which are like these little parts of your cell that are like Pac-Man, and they go around, they eat all the debris and all the bad guys. And it increases the number of those. So it helps to get rid of all of the toxins and stuff from your system while it increases your white blood cell count. So I thought that was really cool to hear.
Yeah, I like a good hot cup of ginger tea every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. That's what it's doing for
And
us. And I thought that was really cool. Because we all know
pine
how
needle tea's really
pine
good
needle.
if you're not pregnant or lactating.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one too for
But
the
it's
vitamin
real
C content, huh?
vitamin C. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. I think that's like a
it has
good.
more vitamin C than orange juice.
Mm. Hey, and one of these days we might not have orange juice. Depending on where you live, that might not exactly be a hot commodity. Fox Holler Homestead said OSHA root.
I've
I don't
never
know
heard
that.
of it.
Mm-mm. I haven't used that one.
Your rose hips are good in vitamin C too.
Mm-hmm.
Wild rose hips, we have wild roses out here pretty plentiful.
So I'm going to ask you a question that might be a stupid question because I've only bought rose hips. Um, do those come after the flower?
Hmm.
Are they like on the back of the rose? So you got to wait for the rose to die off, and then you get the rose hip.
Usually they're there in the winter time. It's just like a seed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Because I love those. They make a wonderful tea. They've got a great flavor to them, and I love
Hmm.
to include them because of their vitamin C content. I just love to if I can drink something that I know is good for me. So that's what I'm. Not very dark, but this is like a nettle. It's got mint in it. Just all kinds of herbs. I make a tea that I call a multivitamin tea, because I prefer to drink this than take a multivitamin, and I think my body likes it better. So it has a lot of things in it. I did a video on this before, but it's got horsetail because that has like, if anybody ever goes out and buys like hair, skin, and nail vitamins, read it. There's horsetail in there because it helps with your collagen and that kind of stuff. But always good to try to put your nutrition in your tea, huh?
Yeah. What when we went to Branson here a while back on the bus, I was staring out the window looking at the the change of the different herbs and stuff
Yeah.
alongside the road,
Mm-hmm.
and they was stuff up there uh, that I didn't have down here in northern Arkansas, and I
Yeah.
was taking note of that.
Mm-hmm.
I knew the plants and knew what they looked like, but I didn't have them in my area.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to know where you can go get them, huh?
Yeah,
One thing I love about your area is that you guys do have such great diversity. We have, I feel like now we have plants that can be used, for herbal medicine, but they're not exactly known for how good they are. I mean, obviously, the Native American tribes up here used them for years and years, and they did fine with them. So Shift Kicker shared a link to show us some stuff about OSHA root. Thank you for that. Um, but I just love what's in your area, and I feel like it's real easy to see. I don't know if anybody's seen like our videos, and when we're out in the woods, look around. There's not a huge choice of things versus when I see your videos when you're doing your bushcrafting, your church in the wild woods, and you can see like there's different kinds of trees that you guys have. We have junipers and a couple different kinds of pines up here, but even juniper is a kind of pine. We do have some oak trees, but they're always so small. Um, but you guys have all kinds of trees. What are some of your favorite trees?
well, I like snacking on hickory
Hmm.
nuts, and we have a lot of hickories, and
Hmm.
we have oak trees, and
Hmm.
which you can roast acorns or leach them by running water and make flour or a meal out of them, like a
Hmm.
mush.
Hmm.
And we have all kinds of oak trees, and,
Hmm.
elderberry, and
Just wild.
uh, yeah, we have wild mulberries,
Hmm.
which is real good.
Hmm.
And there's just a lot of different trees. Elm, you have your slippery elm, which is you can use it medicinally.
Hmm. Yeah. I actually bought, again, see how some of us that don't know how to identify everything and just don't have access to it. I bought slippery elm powder because it's so great to make like cough drops out of
Yeah,
the powder. I don't know
and
how you powder it though,
black
but I would have made.
black walnut. We have
Uh-huh. Awesome. Is there any, like, if you were to say, with as far as preparedness in regards to being able to treat people that are ill or injured, is there any certain things that you think that we might see most commonly? Like, what should we all be the most prepared with to deal? Because so, one thing I want to mention is, like, some people, when we talk about post SHTF or something like that, we're going to have people that bring different things to the group, the community, or whatever, the family, whatever you want to call it. And it could be, some people are master gardeners, some people are herbalists. Those are going to be like, our medicine men and women per se. There's going to be people that are all about protection and being able to help with that piece of it because, some of us are not soldiers. So. There's going to be people that bring, just maybe their engineering capabilities with building things. I don't know. I've heard some people talk about the lone wolf scenario, and um, I can see where that would be really difficult. But as far as like when we talk, I mean, I just see you have so much value as a human being in so many ways, just not only because of your kind heart, your closeness with God, like, um, you seem very wise and you have a lot of knowledge in so many things. But I'm going to ask you, based now, if we all consider that, for those of us that feel like one of the main things we might bring to the table is the ability to help other people get well, whether it's from injury or sickness, what do you think some of the most common sicknesses or injuries that we might see might be that we should make sure we can treat? Because some of us, like I would say, I treat, I can treat what I know and I can treat what I've had experience in, but one thing I'm curious about is those things that I don't have experience in.
That's one of the common things in a shift situation would probably be like your flus and pneumonia,
Mm-hmm.
and plus injuries like cuts and stepping on like a nail or something,
Mm-hmm.
and and probably breaks and sprains would be common things.
Mm-hmm. What about, I was thinking, what about, if water is an issue, I think we might see a higher incidence of like kidney infections,
Yeah,
like UTI kidney infections. Um,
which wall quinine root is good for your urinary tract infections and bladder infections. I made some back here a while back. I had an infection, so
mhm.
the top was the plant was used for fevers, and the root was used for infections like bladder and urinary tract.
Mhm. Hey, Nanya, Texas in the back, Tony. Good to see you.
None on you.
Here where we are, if anybody has juniper trees, juniper berries are supposed to be helpful too. And if you have corn growing, the
So
yes, the silk from the corn, a corn silk tea can be helpful, and just really flushing with water. If you run into a water issue, that's not going to be so easy to flush with water, but
beer's actually one of the best. One of the a good thing. I mean, not to get drunk, but to flush your kidneys
no kidding.
is
I
beer.
didn't know that. I didn't know that. And women are more prone to get UTIs.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see that being a common one. That's good to know. Huh. Because you never know who might have a can of beer around too.
Yeah,
Really.
I like a cold beer in the summertime. I mean,
Hmm.
and
Um,
anything can be abused,
hmm.
used, but alcohol has been used in medicine for centuries.
Hmm. Yeah, it has. To take the bite off too, right? Of the
Yeah.
pain.
Well, my grandfather was a moonshiner.
Oh, awesome.
Back in he helped a kid one time that had the measles. Back when measles was real bad.
Uh-huh.
Uh, you got to break the fever and break out before you can get over it. Well, they tried everything, and that kid would not. The fever wouldn't break, so he gave it some moonshine, and it broke the fever.
Awesome. What do you think? What are some of the herbs that you've used for breaking a fever that you feel like worked really well?
Bone sets the top.
Yeah, worked good for me, the bone set. I got it and I tinctured it and I didn't know how to use it. I just knew that it was really good. And then you guided me on how to use it. That was awesome. I heard yarrow is supposed to be really good for breaking a fever too.
Yeah, they're
If you
good. It's good for fever.
if you don't have bone set, and then the active infection, like that's Hey 12 Stones Ranch. Treating active infections, like you said. I mean, back in the day, if anybody ever played Oregon Trail, my kids loved that game when they were younger, the Oregon Trail game. You could, or you grew up watching westerns, you're going to see it there too. But you could get a cut and end up dying from a cut on your finger because you get infection, and then you end up with sepsis, and you know that's that story.
Yarrow is really good for wounds too.
If you were in, let's talk about wounds for a minute. Let's talk about just those little cuts. And I could see in an SHTF situation, one of the issues being that somebody cuts themselves. Maybe, they're doing something with their knife and wood or what have you. And let's say that they get an injury and they discount it. Because a lot of us are going to be, we get cuts and we don't worry about it because we live in a more clean, sanitary environment than what you might have out in the woods.
Pine rosin. You've seen people seal up cuts and stuff for with super glue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the pine rosin would do the same thing. Plus, it's antifungal and antibacterial.
That was you read my mind, because I was going to say you get a cut. So step one, you're in the woods. What do you have? What are you going to use to treat that cut? And you're saying pine rosin. What about cleaning it first?
Yeah, you could clean it with water, and if you had it made up, your witch hazel and alcohol, half and half,
Mm-hmm.
to clean it,
Mm-hmm.
and then dress it with or well, you'd want to stop the bleeding. I'd put yarrow on it to stop the bleeding,
Mm-hmm.
and if it wouldn't stop, then you could make an ointment out of the pine rosin and put on it.
Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, like with yarrow, yarrow's antibacterial too, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that would be a good one just to like flat out chew up. If you had to make your own poultice, and all you had was your saliva
Mm-hmm.
to create the poultice with. First, try to get obvious debris out, maybe with what water you have. I know some of y'all live where there's plenty of water, and every time I think using water, I think, yikes, that's going to be hard here. Um, so you're in the woods, you clean it out, take use of your saliva, chew up some yarrow if you have it, and maybe even you could even use the yarrow poultice a little bit to help clean it, right?
Oh yeah.
Stop the bleeding, and then the pine rosin ointment would actually seal the wound.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay. And that would help prevent infection. What about if it was if it was you or somebody that was in your group that was with you and you were out there, in the woods, um, post pine rosin, would you have them on a tea or something? Let's say it was a little deeper than a regular cut and you anticipated there being some fever, there being a possible infection. What would you have them drinking or taking orally to help prevent that from happening?
Well, you could take usnea and powder it and put it right in the wound, and it's a antibiotic.
Okay.
And you could have them take a little
Oh.
usnea tincture too, and
Hmm. Yep. I found some usnea in the woods here, and it's so if so usnea looks like, for anybody who's in the chat, what do they call it? Old man's beard, right?
yeah.
And so it looks like, I don't know, it's like you'll have a log, like I found mine, you have a log, and you'll have like this green, um, it looks like I can see why they call it old man's beard, this green growth on the log that it looks like a plant. It's not like a mildew or mold or seaweed or anything like that. But when you stretch it, you can see a little white string in there that kind of stretches with it, and that's how you can make sure that it really is usnea and not something else. I love those herbs that you can tell the difference with. And I have it in a tincture form, but I didn't realize you could use it as a powder too. That would be easier to carry around.
Yeah, it's powdered. You could put it right on the wound.
Hmm. Um, so, what about as far as preparedness and goal setting? Um, I'm thinking one of my goals is I would like to get a wound kit put together, including notes. And I'm thinking usnea powder would be
Mm-hmm.
a really good
Be
one.
really good.
Hmm. Um, and like I was saying, sometimes when you get sick, you forget what helps and what doesn't help. Oh, check it out! Awesome.
That's my blood stop right there.
Is that yarrow?
Yarrow.
Awesome.
Ground and dehydrate. Well, dehydrated and ground into a powder. So you can do your usnea the same way.
Okay.
Just dry it and ground it and
Hmm.
store it in a
Hmm. Very
bottle.
cool. Do you have like in your I mean, most of us have some kind of a go bag or things on the land. Um, do you have like an herbal medicine cabinet? I'm
Yeah,
assuming you've got so much. Do you have it in a way that you could grab and go, and you know what you'd take?
yeah. I keep it mostly in the closet. But
Hmm. I have those plastic shelves you can get at like Walmart with the see-through drawers,
mm-hmm.
like kind of short, and that's what I have my tinctures and um, I don't know if I was to have to grab and go and throw stuff in a bag, I'd be worried about the glass jars. And so I love the idea of some powdered herbs. Um, but what would you take? What would you take with you? What would be your ones if you were to go? What would be? I mean, I know I would have to take my hawthorn tincture because that's like my medicine. So I would take that with me. Um, the bone set, just in preparedness for people being exposed to the elements and getting sick that way. And I don't know that we have yarrow and mullein everywhere, so I'd almost want to assume those are going to be there when I get there, kind of
Yeah.
thing. What about you? What would be your ones that you'd have to take with you? Because maybe they're not that plentiful in the woods or something.
Well, most of them. Well, it's seasonal. A lot of it's seasonal. So
Hmm. Depends on the season then,
yeah.
huh? Hmm. Okay. Very cool. Um, does anybody have questions for Ark? We do have a hard stop at 11, so we've got 7 more minutes. If anybody has any questions for Ark Wildman.
Also, your water lily is good to stop bleeding. You could put it on wounds.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if a water lily and a day lily kind of have similar effects?
I don't know. I know you can eat both.
Yeah, I know you can eat day lily.
You can the water lily too. It's really good. Right as it's
Mhm.
coming up, before it
Mhm.
reaches the surface, it's really good.
Huh. That's cool.
Kind of,
And
kind of like asparagus.
yeah. Oh yeah. I love fresh asparagus. Our neighbor up here grows it, and so he's like cut it and handed it to us. And we've been on our way into town or something, so we take it with us and eat it on the way, just not even cooked. It's awesome, which you can't do from if you buy the asparagus in the store, it's always kind of tough. The thicker
We have
skin.
wild asparagus here too.
Do you?
It don't
Oh,
grow as big, the thick stalks, but we do have wild asparagus.
that's awesome. And I know I asked you this before, but just for people who might be curious, do you do herb walks? Do
Yeah,
you charge a fee for herb walks and they can reach out to you and set up something?
I, I was supposed to do one for up on Mount Magazine, but
Mhm.
they come down with sickness. It went around and that got canceled. But I did take the Arkansas bushcrafter out, and of course, I just wanted to show him. He had like 3 pages of stuff before he left.
Yeah, I'll
And,
bet. Hey, Van City Prepper. Yeah.
and but different things is available different times of the year. He come in the spring of the year when there was a lot of stuff available,
Mm-hmm.
and but I've never charged anyone. I didn't charge him, but yeah, they was gonna pay me $100 for a wild
Mm-hmm.
edible and medicinal tour,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a lot of people around here just ain't interested in stuff like that. Not yet, anyway.
They take it for granted.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Yeah. If I ever make it out that way, I'm going to schedule it, or me and the hubby. That way, we've got both of us there in case one of us forgets something, and I'll be taking notes too. But I would love to schedule an herb walk. That would be awesome. Firefly Farm. Sorry to hear you're not feeling better.
Prayers, Firefly. Not Van City.
And hey, 12 Stones Ranch. I can't remember if I said hi to you. Yeah, I would love that. And I think you should charge. Just, I think and the reason I say that is because I know herbalists, a lot of herbalists, it's not like it's a really high paying,
Yeah.
career path to follow. And the information is so valuable. If anything, I think you should do like gosh, what do they call it when they just definitely let yourself be open to that, because I think that the information that you provide is so valuable and would be so valuable for anybody that you take on an herb walk. So when we scheduled time with you, I'll be paying because I recognize that as just an amazing service and feel like you should be reimbursed for your time.
I love going out and finding. I've got people looking for different mushrooms for me and stuff that I haven't done videos on,
Mm-hmm.
and so I have like somebody in my news feed. Is this one you're interested in or something? What's this? And
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's if you hear it enough, you retain that information. So anybody like your first time out, and you might not you'll have to check your notes. You're not going to retain it all. That's why and I'm with Firefly Farm. You could do retreats. There are some places and people that do that. They actually schedule a group, and you know, and they charge by person, and they take a group of people out.
mm-hmm.
Awesome. You should consider doing that. And I think hey, his sweetie, thanks for coming in. We're just about ready to end the live, but sure appreciate you coming. Um, I think for in the lines of, so I'm going to just backtrack and share some of the stuff that you had mentioned. As far as anybody in preparedness, we should be thinking about learning our wild edibles, as well as the medicinal benefits that they have. That was number one. Number two, you had mentioned being able to make a fire multiple ways, because you never know what you're going to have or what kind of situation you'll be in. Number three, building shelter. Number four, purifying water, not just with a Berkey that you got. Being able to do it the old school way with the rocks and the sand and the charcoal. And number five, knowing how to preserve, because we have seasons, and the little red hen, the little red hen was preparing everything right for the winter, so we've got to know how to preserve to prepare for those times. And then we had some great conversation about some of the medicinal herbs that were your favorites, and I don't know, like I know, is the Indian pipe the same as ghost pipe?
Yeah, it's same.
Is it? Okay. That works really good for headaches. It does. For my headache, it helps me with my headache. Mountain Grandpa's his cluster headaches have been in remission for a bit, so we're very thankful for that. But if they come back, I'm going to have him be trying that because those things are debilitating. Uh, we talked about some of our favorite herbs and also like in an SHTF situation, an injury, like some of the common things we might come up against. That we need to know, that everybody needs to know how to treat. I would even say, even if this isn't your thing, even if you feel like your role in your clan group, whatever you want to call it, is going to be more of the protector, the builder, you could be off preparing a shelter or something and injure yourself, and you need to know how to treat that. So we talked about some of the top things being treating flu, pneumonia, because people are going to be exposed to the elements. Treating cuts, somebody could step on a nail, they could cut themselves with a knife, anything like that could happen. Knowing how to clean that, how to use the pine rosin to kind of put a barrier there to help prevent infection. Knowing how to treat breaks and sprains. Because of the environment and water, even in a place that's water plentiful, a lot of women are really prone to UTI and kidney infections. So knowing how to treat those. Gosh, is there anything else that you have been? Do you see how much information you gave us today? Is there anything else that you want to speak to in regards to just prepping and goal setting? Because for a lot of people, they think it and then they do it. They have to organize, and some people have so much to do that that's how they have to flow with it. So any additional thoughts you'd like to share on that?
Just keep prepping and studying and get out and practice those skills.
Mm-hmm. Every day, learn something new. Learn something new every day. All right. Next week, everybody, we're going to be on, oh gosh, I don't know where we'll be next week. Watch me and Lisa at Yogi Hollow Farms channels. We'll either be here or we'll be over on Yogi Hollow Farms channels. I'm going to work that out with her with all of the animal babies she's got coming. We might be here again. Otherwise, we'll be over there. So we'll see what works for her. And Ark, it has been an honor, my friend, to have you on. And I hope we get to chat again because
I always enjoy chatting with you.
Yes, I could still be picking your brain and sharing experiences with you. I totally could. I love the herb conversation, and I think this was awesome. Hey, Lisa Anderson, we're just about ready to go, but we covered some great stuff. This is, let's see, which way is it? This is an amazing guy over here, and he shared some great info today, so I hope you'll go back and watch what you missed. We'll see you all next week, and everybody, you always hear me say, keep your joy at the end of my videos, and that comes from Psalms 5:11. You can find it everywhere in the Bible, though, but it basically says, we have Jesus, and he's there for us and to protect us. And so we should keep our joy even when everybody else in the world is trying to get us down, and stick together with the people that you love and the people that mean things to you. Let people be people, forgive them of their humanity, because we all have some of that. So I hope you all have a great, joyous week, and I'll be seeing you again soon, probably in some of your lives. Thank you so much, Lake Prairie, for coming in. Appreciate you being here. Y'all have a great day. Thanks, Ark. I'll chat with you later.
Okie doke.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming. I'm going to have you on again. We're going to we need to do a live, just an herb talk. That's what we need to do.
That'd be awesome.
It would be. All right, everyone. Have a good one. See you next time.